Okay, welcome to another video. So it's been a long old while now since I've checked out anything BSD like on the channel, so I thought what we could do today is take a look at the latest version of NomadBSD. Now it's been even longer still since I've checked out NomadBSD, and since then there's been many changes and new versions released, so I'm quite excited to check things out. Now NomadBSD is of course an operating system intended to be run from a USB device. So today I'm going to be installing onto an external SSD to help speed things up a bit. So some of the main changes in this release are the base system has been upgraded to FreeBSD 13.0, which means this is the first time I'm going to be checking anything else based on the new 13.0 release. The partition alignment has been changed to 1M to improve the write speed on flash devices. A bug where GLX is disabled has been fixed, and drivers for VMware have been added. Now on the download page of NomadBSD's website, they do give you some simple instructions on how to get the image written to a USB device, and they have different instructions for different operating systems, and we're going to be doing it on Linux, so we need to use these commands to get the image on our USB. So the device I'm going to be using for my installation is a DevSDB, and you want to make sure you're using the right device when you're writing the image, otherwise you might overwrite something quite important. So what we're going to do is go over to a document I've got ready with the commands that we need, and I'm going to change the SDX to SDB, and all we need to do now is make sure that we're extracting the right thing to create the image from. So in the downloads folder that we are currently in, we'll do an LS, and as you can see right here, this is what we want to turn into an image. So if we just copy this over, Control C, and then go back into our document right here and then change this to this bad boy. And now we're going to do the same here, but this time we're going to remove the .lzma and just have the .image as the final part, like so. Now all we need to do is copy over these commands to start doing the process of writing the image to a USB. So first up, this command here is going to take that and then create a .image file from it. So we're just going to copy that over like so and hit enter. Okay, that command is now finished, and as you can see we now have just a one .image file, and now what we want to do is DD that .image to a USB device. So if we go back into our file manager and go to properties, we can see that the file size for the .image is 4.7 GB, which means any USB drive that you're copying it onto needs to be of minimum of 5 GB in size. And now we're going to write the image to the USB using DD, and you will need sudo for this. So like I mentioned beforehand, make sure you've got the right device. So for me it's SDB, and make sure you've got the right file name for the image itself. So we're going to type in our password, and now that's going to start writing that image to our USB device. Okay, that's now complete, and the image is now on our USB drive. Now as I'm using an external SSD, it was a very quick process, but it might take you a little bit longer if you're using like a standard USB stick. So what we're going to do now is reboot and boot off of our external SSD and begin the initial setup of NomadBSD. So I've just booted off of my external SSD, and now we have some initial NomadBSD setup to do, and then we can start checking out the desktop. So the first step, we need to choose our language or locale. So for me it's going to be English United Kingdom, which is right about there, and next. So welcome to the NomadBSD setup wizard. Before you can use NomadBSD, there are some things that need to be set up. The setup will only write to the USB flash drive it is currently running from. It will not change your system, and that's what's really cool about NomadBSD. You can kind of just have a spare USB device that it lives on, and then every time you might need it, just plug it in and you are good to go. So let's press next. So for the default keyboard layout, it's already selected English UK for me, and I'm just going to go to this box below and test it out to make sure I don't need to make any changes and it's all working as it should, and go to the next step. So we can add additional keyboard layouts. I'm not too concerned about that, so I'm going to skip this part for now. And now we're going to select our time zone, which for me is Europe, London, and next. We're now going to do our password for the user and root, and the user account is a Nomad, and for the administrator account root, it's going to be using the same password. So let's type it all in, and then we are good to go with the next step. Next. So I'm going to skip encryption for now, but if you don't want to do it, you can go ahead with this step to set up encryption as well. Next. Okay, choose your default application. So this is something I really did remember quite enjoying from the first time I checked it out, is that you can actually choose the shell you're going to use. By default it uses Fish, which I'm not super familiar with, and I'm more happy to use Bash, so we're going to leave it on Bash. Now for the editor, we could use the easy editor, the Vim or VI. I'm going to stick with Vim. And now for the GUI editor, I'm going to leave it on LeafPad, but you can also get gvim and then again Vim once more. And now just below that, we've got the file manager. So the default is Funar, or you can go for PCman FM. Foonar is a little bit more full featured than PCMan FM, so I'm going to leave it on the Foonar file manager. And next. So we've got a little summary here before we commit to make those changes. So let's press commit now. So we're now going to pause the video and we'll come back once this is finished. Right, so the NomadBSD setup has finished, so we can press finish now to reboot and start checking out our desktop. Okay, so here we are at our NomadBSD desktop, and I do actually quite like the out-of-the-box look and feel that you get with NomadBSD. It's quite clean, very simple, just single panel at the top and a dock at the bottom, and I do believe, if I remember correctly, the dock you are using is Plank, and it does have icon zoom enabled out of the box. The theme it's using by default is transparent, and it doesn't appear to have any other additionals apart from what's standard when you install the Plank package. So what I'll probably do at some point is also install a theme, perhaps the shade theme, because I think that will match quite nicely with our top panel. Now on our top panel at the very left we have our application launcher, where you can go for all of your application categories, as well as go to your different desktops, reconfigure, log out, and then update your menu. And you can access the same menu anywhere on your desktop with a right click. Now at the very right side of our panel we have our date and time, and then clicking that will open up your calendar selection. And then just to the left of that we have our current connection, so I'm using Ethernet. We then have a little volume icon, and clicking that is going to open up what's called the DSP mixer, where we can go through all of our sound outputs and play around with things like so. And then last but not least, clicking this will then open up your connected devices using the DSMB client, the DSP MB client, and there we can see all of the drives that are currently attached to this computer. Okay, so I think what I want to do to start off with is see if there's any updates that we need to grab, and we're going to do it the GUI way. So using this package right here called octopkg, this should be able to go through and update any packages that we need to get. So first of all, if we press this button right here, or using Control D, we can update the repository. So as you can see, synchronizing databases, updating FreeBSD repository catalog, all repositories are up to date, and the command has finished OK. And that's pretty much the same thing as if you was to go into a terminal. Now I do believe we do have sudo privileges, so if we type in sudo pkg update, that should do pretty much the same thing as what's just happened there. So as you can see, all repositories are up to date. Now let's close that off. Now just beneath here we can see the number 6. So I do believe that's the amount of packages that we can update. So if we hover over it, as you can see there are 6 updates available. So if we go ahead and press install, that should then open up something else. There we go. So the following 8 packages need to be retrieved. The total download size is 217 MB. And that's going to be updating things like Firefox, which is using the ESR package, so the extended support release, I do believe that stands for. We'll check that out in just a moment. LibreOffice version is 7.1.2.2_4, but that's now going to be getting updated to a newer version, and Thunderbird is also getting updated. So let's go ahead and confirm that update, and I'll pause the video and come back once that's finished. Okay, so our package updates have complete, and as you can see there we have a little command finish OK. Now what we're going to try out is installing a new package, again using the GUI. So if we go up to the search bar here, you can see it's currently searching for install programs or packages, but if we click this button right here, we can then install new packages. So let's test it out with something small, for example htop. So we do that, and then we should have the option there to go ahead and install htop. So what can we do? We can go straight into info or install. So pressing install, and I do believe there'll be an apply button that we need to click in just a moment, which means you can do batch installation. So let's also test out with one more package. Let's go for Ranger, which is another sort of terminal based file manager. So what have we got here? Is this the Ranger that I think it is? Let's go on to info. So file manager with a VI key binding. So let's go ahead and install that. So again, we're going to go ahead and press install, and now pressing this apply button, that will batch ahead, go ahead and install all those packages, or instead of using that button we can press Control and M. And there we go. So the following 2 packages need to be retrieved, which are htop and Ranger, with a total download size of 434 KB, so very small indeed. So pressing yes, and it's now going to go ahead and run the update as well as installing those packages, and as you can see they have both now been installed. And as you can see at the top right, it's also gone ahead and updated the open box menu automatically for you. So now if we go back into our Sakura terminal, and now let's test out that those packages have been installed without any issues at all. So there we go with htop, and we can see that we are using currently 2.36 GB in htop of RAM, and we do not have anything like a swap partition or anything like so. Now let's see if we've got Ranger all working. So let's clear that for a second and type Ranger, And there we go. So we now have the terminal based file manager of Ranger, and I do believe we also have one pre-installed, which is Midnight Commander or MC, but we're just about to go ahead and check out the default packages right now. So using the application launcher in the top left of our panel, we can go through the categories and see what we've got installed out of the box. And if I remember quite rightfully, it does actually come installed with quite a lot, which makes it very good just to keep on your USB for when you might need it. So under application, we have HP UI Scan. In audio, we have DSP Mixer. In audio and video, we have Asunder CD Ripper, Audacity, Cantata, Dead Beef, MPV Media Player, Simple Screen Recorder, VLC Media Player for all of your video files, and XF Burn. Now in development, we have Genie, we have the Qt5 Linguist and Assistants, and in graphics we have GIMP, which is very nice to see installed out of the box. Let's just open it up and see what version of GIMP we are currently using. And we've got quite a nice recent version of GIMP there at version 2.10.24. Let's keep it moving. So is there anything else in graphics? We have the GTCam digital camera browser, so that'll be for your cameras connected to your device so you can view them on your computer. View Noir and Xane for scanning. Now in network, again, quite a lot of choices here. So you have FileZilla, so if you use like SFTP or FTP to manage any of your websites, etc., you can go ahead and do that in FileZilla. Firefox is your web browser, and we know we've got a newer, more up-to-date version now since we run the update, and it does have the ad blocker uBlock Origin installed out of the box. Now if we go to help and about once more, we can see that it is indeed the extended support release, and now that we're updated, we're using version 78.10.1 ESR. Let's close that one off like so. Okay, what else have we got in internet or network? We then have HexChat, we have the IPFW GUI, the Linux browser installer GUI. What does this do then? Let's open this up. It's going to ask you for your sudo password. Right, what have we got here? Let's have a look. So this program installs the wide-vine capable Linux version of Google Chrome, the Brave or Vivaldi browser. They allow you to use web services like Netflix, Prime Video or Spotify. That's very cool actually, because something about BSD is that you can't natively watch videos on Netflix or things like that. So that's going to be using like the Linux version of those browsers to let you actually view those sorts of websites, which I think is a very cool idea. So I think what we'll do, we'll go ahead and install Brave and see how that works. Very cool idea though. So let's press install. So it's now going to go ahead and run through everything it needs to do. So I'll pause the video here and come back once it's finished. So I think this is going to take a fair bit of time. So while that's going on, we're also going to check out some of the other applications installed out of the box. Let's minimize that for now and keep it moving. So as well as the Linux browser installer in network, we also have the Pigeon Internet Messenger, which is a multi-protocol chat client for all of your different services in one window. Very handy. Your desktop email client is Thunderbird, and for torrents it's going to be using Transmission QT. Now for Office, we have the full LibreOffice suite as well as QPDF view. And while we're here, let's open up Writer and see that it's got the newer version that we've just installed, and that it has different dictionary support enabled out of the box for auto spell checking. So we're now in version 7.1.3, I do believe it was. And there we go, 1.3.2. And it's also got the dictionary all ready to go, which is quite handy as well. So as you can see there, automatic spell checking is working nicely and out of the box on NomadBSD. And that's not the same for every single operating system that I've checked out. There are some Linux distros that have LibreOffice pre-installed, but not the dictionary that's needed for auto spell check to work. So it's good to see that all up and running. Okay, let's keep it moving. So that was everything in Office. Now in settings, we have AR&R for your monitor settings. Auto start settings. If we open up AR&R, for example, as well, here's where you can set your resolution, etc. Or if you have more than one device display connected. Let's keep moving. So that is in settings. We have auto start settings. We have customized look and feel. Let's open this up and see the theming that we are currently using. So in here we are currently using the Rally theme, and if we go onto the icon theme, it's using the Papyrus icon theme, which is a very nice icon pack as well. Okay, let's close that off and then keep moving. So as well as all of that in settings, we also have display manager settings, display settings. So we have a separate package here for display settings. Okay, interesting. I've never actually seen this before, but we can see that we're running at full resolution with 60 Hz. So that's all good. So we can keep moving. Now, what else do we have? We then have our file manager settings. So I do believe this should be for Funa. It does appear to be. So we can set all of the sort of options there that we want to do for Funa, but we won't worry about that just now. And let's see what else we've got. We then have our mouse and touchpad configuration, OpenBox configuration manager for the window manager, panel manager. So I do believe we're using the Tint 2 panel, which is your panel at the top, and you have all of these additional themes that you can sort of customize and get it looking just how you want. Let's close that one off. And what else have we got? We then have plank preferences. So as well as pressing Control and right click to get into your plank preferences, you can do that here as well. Very handy. And what else do we have in our settings? We then have Qt5 settings and then a program here to set the background image, and there are some ready to go pre-installed out of the box, so it should be very simple, just clicking it and then pressing set wallpaper and then choosing the mode. So we can set it to fill, it will max, tile, scale or center. Let's test it out with that one. There we go, and now let's go back to the default and leave that running. So the Brave browser has now finished installing as well, which is very cool. We'll check that out in just a moment. Let's just set that back to its default, and we'll finish up with the rest of the applications now that we're on that, and then we'll get to the Brave browser and see how that all works. I'm quite intrigued actually about that. So I think that's everything in settings. Now in system, we have the user accounts, bulk rename, the DSB Batmon, the DSB MC, file manager for PCman FM. Interesting. So choosing the file manager in the beginning doesn't just sort of install just the one, it lets you set which one you want to have as your sort of default file manager. So here we can see we're in the home folder in PCman FM, and if we go into about, we can see we're using version 1.3.1. Okay, very cool. Let's keep going. So back into system, we then have Fish, HTOP that we installed ourselves, manage user accounts, Midnight Commander, so that's another terminal based file manager, so you can open it in there or in any terminal window, just type in MC and that will open up your sort of 2-pane file manager right from inside your terminal. Yes. What else do we have? We then have the NomadBSD handbook, the NomadBSD installer. So I think what this does, if I remember correctly, is it will install your current system onto a hard drive. Let's have a look. So this program will install your NomadBSD with its current configuration onto a hard disk, so that's very cool. So what we could do is, if we wanted to sort of copy this whole system onto an internal drive or any other drive connected, we can then set that up like so. And here we can also set the desired swap partition. In fact, I might actually check this out towards the end of the video because I don't think I've ever actually used that. So let's close that off for now and keep moving. So let's see what else we've got. We then have Octo package, which is what we use to update and install new packages. Printer configuration, Ranger we installed ourselves. And here we have the Funa file manager. And again, we'll go to help and about. And we can see that we're using version 4.16.6. So very nice. Let's close that one off. Oh, I've just missed it. There we go. Alright, what else do we have in system? So I think that's everything, and of course the Tint 2 panel. Now in utility, we have Compton for our screen compositor, Calculator, GVim, a GXKB, the HP device manager, KeyPass XE. We have Cavanta manager as well, so we can use that to theme some sort of like Qt applications, etc. So let's just see what it's currently using. So let's go to change delete active theme. It's currently using KV adapter. Okay. What else do we have? We then have LeafPad, which is the GUI text editor we chose in the beginning. Pick on Plank, Run Command, Sakura, Screenshot, and what screenshot tool are we using? I'm not too sure what screenshot tool that is actually. You'll be reader. I won't worry about that for now, but there we go. We can use that to create screenshots of either the whole screen, active window, or to select a region. And let's see if it's tied to our print screen key on our desktop. It is indeed. Perfect. What else have we got? So I think that's pretty much everything there, and of course we have Vim and the X Archiver for managing archives and all of that good stuff. Now under desktops, this is where we can have different desktops. So we currently have just the one desktop, and then going into that will then let you sort of jump to those sort of application windows. And we can also add a new desktop and then get to a clean desktop and start populating that with new applications. So we can press that to go there, and we are now on that desktop. And it does have a keyboard shortcut of Control Alt left and right, so very handy. Now I think that's pretty much everything that I want to check out there for now. And of course, if we wanted to log out, restart or shut down, we press this button here, and then we get all of the options. So log out, reboot, shut down, suspend, as well as timer. Now what I want to do is check out the Brave stuff and see how that's all worked. Right, so installation of Brave has finished. Let's press OK. So in here we can also upgrade browsers. So that's going to go ahead and upgrade anything we need to do, deinstall or quit. So now that we've done that, how do we actually get into that and check it out? Is it in network? Brave browser, there we go. And in brackets we've got Linux. Very cool. So it integrates with your sort of default application launcher. Very handy. We won't set it as the default for now, but we'll go straight into it. And there we go, no waiting around, nice and fluid, and it's now installed the Linux version of the Brave web browser, which will enable you to use web applications like Netflix, Spotify, etc. Okay, I'm very impressed with that actually. Very cool to have installed out of the box. So with all of the stuff that it comes with and the things that you can do, it's kind of like your Swiss Army knife of USB operating systems to have at your disposal whenever you might need it. So I think what we should go ahead and do is test out the installing to another hard disk. So I'm just going to pause the video, boot into my desktop and just clear a disk, and then we'll see how that works as well. Okay, so I've just cleared a drive so we can go through the NomadBSD installation wizard and install it onto an internal hard drive and make sure that's all working. But so far, I'm really enjoying my sort of revisited look at NomadBSD. So the drive I'm going to use is the Drevo X1 SSD. File system wise, I'm going to leave it on UFS, but we could also choose ZFS, and I'm going to leave the desired size of the swap partition at 2 GB. So here we can set a username, so let's go ahead and just say Tyler. Doesn't ask us for a password or anything like that, so this installation script will adopt Nomad's complete account, only the username changes. Okay, so it's going to use the same password, very interesting. And we can also set the auto login user. Okay, so I think that's everything. Let's press next, and then we get a summary before we commit. Let's press commit now. So last chance to quit the installation. I like that it gives you many options before you actually commit in case you're not quite sure what you're doing. So let's press install, and there we go. So I'll pause the video here and then come back once that's finished. Okay, that was finished and it didn't take too long whatsoever. So what we're going to do now is press finish and then do a reboot and see if we can boot into that hard disk and make sure everything is the same. And then we'll start wrapping things up there. Right, so we've just booted up off of the internal drive and everything is looking exactly how it should be. So what we're going to do is go into our home folder and make sure the change of the username has worked. So there we go, the username is Tyler as opposed to Nomad. And now we're going to go into our application launcher and make sure all of the applications that we did install, so HTOP, Ranger and then the Brave web browser are where they should be. And there we go, so there is the Brave. And in utility, let's see if we've got everything that we should have. We do indeed. And now in system, there as well is HTOP and Ranger. That is really quite impressive. Before I wrap things up, I do want to do a quick screen tearing test to see if we've got any tearing out of the box or whether it's all set up and good to go with video playback. So in these lines, if you see any breaks, it means that we do have screen tearing and there's something we might have to do to get rid of it. So let's full screen it and just keep an eye out for any shifts in these lines. But from what I can see, it's completely tear free. Let's just skip in a little bit more. Nope, that's absolutely perfect. Okay, I'm really quite impressed with this. Right, I think that's where I'm going to wrap it up there. But that's been my refreshed look of NomadBSD, and as you can see, I've changed the wallpaper to one of the others included and installed a new theme for the plank dock at the bottom there. And all in all, I actually think that looks very nice with a minimal effort. And I've just been really impressed with this. So I really quite enjoyed it the first time I checked it out, but it's just got better and better. I like the fact that you can do the sort of Linux browsers to get around the whole Netflix issue on BSD, and then also being able to install it onto a hard disk, so an exact copy of your system, is very cool indeed. And if there is any sort of operating system that belongs on your USB drive, I think it should be this one. It's something you can keep in a drawer if you've got any problems with your system and need to get into it and see what's going on. Or of course, just keep it into your rucksack or your bag and always have an operating system with you ready to go. I'll leave a link to this in the description below. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe. And if you've really enjoyed it, you can consider supporting me on Patreon. Join the Discord. There's a link in the description below. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.